50 years of relentless war and unimaginable extravagance shattered the financial backbone of an entire empire. King Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, embarked on a reign that redefined royal power and debt, leaving France in an unprecedented fiscal crisis. His personal quest for absolute grandeur saw the nation's treasury drained year after year for decades. The construction of the Palace of Versailles alone stands as a monumental testament to this financial folly. It began in 1661, transforming a modest hunting lodge into an opulent symbol of power and excess. The total cost over the decades reached an astronomical 300 million livres, a sum that could have funded critical infrastructure projects for over a century or provided relief to millions of struggling citizens. 2 decades. At its peak, more than 36,000 laborers, craftsmen, and artists toiled on its expansive grounds. The palace boasts over 2,300 rooms and extends across more than 2,000 acres of meticulously designed gardens, featuring 1,400 ornate fountains, consuming more water than the city of Paris itself. Maintaining this colossal complex required an annual expenditure exceeding 6 million livres, a burden that crushed the national budget. Beyond the Golden Gates of Versailles, the king waged 4 major wars, each draining the country of vast resources and human lives. The War of the Spanish Succession alone lasted 13 years, costing France an estimated 1 billion livres. These military campaigns, coupled with the endless lavish court life, where hundreds of nobles were housed, fed, and entertained daily, caused the national debt to skyrocket by an estimated 2,000% during his 72-year rule. France's once robust economy crumbled under the weight of these unsustainable expenditures, pushing millions into poverty and sowing the seeds of future revolutionary unrest. Hundreds of servants for every royal family member, thousands of candelabras burning nightly, and mountains of exotic foods imported daily further exacerbated the financial hemorrhage. The royal stables housed 2,000 horses needing constant care and feeding. Lavish parties with hundreds of musicians and thousands of guests occurred weekly, each event costing hundreds of thousands of livres. This unprecedented spending created a deficit that grew year upon year, reaching an annual shortfall of 10 million livres by the latter half of his reign. The national debt accumulated to a staggering 3 billion livres by the time of his death in 1715, a weight that would burden future generations for more than a century. The French populace faced crushing taxes and widespread famine while their monarch indulged in unparalleled splendor. His policies effectively mortgaged the nation's future for the sake of immediate gratification and an unyielding pursuit of personal glory. The financial ruin he bequeathed ultimately undermined the very foundations of the absolute monarchy he so carefully constructed, leading to profound instability and widespread discontent among the populace for decades to come. An unthinkable debt swallowed a nation whole. King Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, left France utterly crippled by his 72-year rule. His relentless wars and unbelievable court extravagance crushed an entire populace. A yearly maintenance bill for one palace alone reached 6 million livres, a sum that could have fed countless starving families across the land. The Palace of Versailles consumed 300 million livres, over decades enough to build vital roads and bridges for over 100 years. At its peak, more than 36,000 workers crafted its 2,300 rooms and tended its 2,000 acres of gardens, with 1,400 elaborate fountains demanding more water than Paris itself. Spending was not limited to architectural wonders. The War of the Spanish Succession lasted 13 long years, draining 1 billion livres from the national treasury. 4 major conflicts pushed the country further into a catastrophic financial abyss. Hundreds of royal family members and their hundreds of servants dined nightly under thousands of expensive candelabras. The royal stables housed 2,000 majestic horses, each requiring constant care and vast amounts of feed. Weekly parties for thousands of guests and hundreds of musicians often cost hundreds of thousands of livres, adding to the nation's ever-growing burden. The national debt skyrocketed by an astonishing 2,000% during his long reign. By the latter half of his rule, France faced an annual shortfall of 10 million livres, a truly terrifying figure. This cumulative financial hemorrhage meant the national debt stood at a staggering 3 billion livres by the time of his death in 1715. This enormous sum was not merely a number, it was a chain binding future generations to poverty and despair for well over a century. Millions faced crushing taxes and widespread famine, while their monarch lived a life of unimaginable splendor, importing mountains of exotic foods daily. The absolute monarchy he meticulously constructed was utterly eroded by his insatiable pursuit of personal glory and immediate gratification, paving the way for profound instability and widespread discontent among the common people for many decades to come. A dire inheritance indeed. One ruler's extravagance plunged a nation into starvation. King Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, relentlessly pursued personal glory at an unbearable cost for 20 million French citizens. His 72-year reign saw an unprecedented 2,000% increase in national debt, reaching 3 billion livres by 1715, his passing. The immense palace of Versailles remained a monument to this financial recklessness, absorbing 300 million livres over decades, a sum enough to build thousands of essential projects across the realm. Annually, its upkeep alone demanded 6 million livres, a sum that could have provided sustenance for millions facing widespread famine and despair. Over 36,000 workers toiled on its 2,300 rooms and 2,000 acres of gardens featuring 1,400 elaborate fountains using more water than the entire city of Paris. 4 major wars alone decimated the treasury, with the 13-year War of the Spanish Succession draining 1 billion livres. This constant military expenditure and incredible court extravagance meant an annual shortfall of 10 million livres during the latter half of his rule. Hundreds of royal family members and their hundreds of servants partook in nightly feasts under thousands of expensive candelabras. The royal stables housed nearly 2,000 majestic horses, each demanding extensive care and vast amounts of feed, consuming nearly 1/5 of the national grain supply. Weekly parties for thousands of guests with hundreds of musicians regularly cost hundreds of thousands of livres, accelerating the nation's financial freefall. Millions endured crushing taxes, their meager earnings vanishing into the coffers of a state already deeply in the red. This burden of debt chained future generations for well over 100 years. During his rule, 700,000 people died from famine and disease, a direct consequence of the state's diversion of resources to war and luxury. The average French peasant saw their life expectancy drop by 5 years due to this systemic deprivation. His court employed 1,200 personal servants, for the king alone not counting hundreds serving other royal members. The royal household required over 3,000 new garments annually for main members. 1,200 guards protected the royal personage 24 hours a day, a costly security detail. The crown's interest payments alone consumed 85% of all annual tax revenues by the end of his rule. The financial system was so broken that new loans were almost impossible to secure. The royal family owned over 300 additional chateaux beyond Versailles, each requiring staff and maintenance. A yearly budget of 50,000 livres went solely to the king's wigs and powder. His pursuit of absolute power and immediate gratification left a legacy of profound instability and widespread discontent among the common people for many decades to come, paving the way for future upheaval. This was truly a dire inheritance, a lasting scar upon the nation.